Imagine this. Lights dim, the room hushes. On stage, a young performer takes a trembling step forward. With his voice shaking, he expresses and shares the experience of a friend who is going through racism. Another actor joins in, echoing the pain of being misunderstood because of his accent. No filters, no edits, just raw truth unfolding right before us. That is the magic of theater. Theater holds the mirror to who we are, who we have been, and who we might become. It is the democratic power of art. It is the inseparable reflection of our human experiences. It gives right and room for emotions and stories to take up space without judgment. Theater is life. And today, on Cutting Room Floor, we'll be delving into the world of theater with Empty Space as we look at the work they have done within the Kitchener-Waterloo region, addressing social issues, stories, and those hard conversations we often don't talk about through the power of theater. Joining me is Hiyam Mahrat, the General Manager of Empty Space, and I'm so glad to have you today, Mahrat. Hiyam.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a good day. I mean, the weather is warm. It's a bit sunny, the way I like it. I'm not a fan of winter. I always say that.
Me too.
How has summer been for you?
Oh, summer has been great. We've been busy a lot with Impact and putting the festival on, but we go out from time to time and enjoy the weather. It's good that it's continuing till now with the fall colors and all of that, so it's been lovely.
I like it. I like that. Yeah, we love the colors, but we don't want the weather to change. Not just yet. Okay, so let's talk about your work, Empty Space, an organization that is redefining the Canadian theater, its look and even the sound, and you're taking stories, social issues, and you're bringing them to the stage to cause transformation. Big ups to you and your team. But tell us first about Impact Festival. You held for about 6 days, you had a conference, and over 20 performances on stage. I was part of it, by the way. It was so much fun, but tell us a little bit about the impact of the conference on our community.
Yeah, thank you. First, Empty Space stands for the Multicultural Theater Space that was founded by Majdi, a Lebanese-Canadian director who was born in Lebanon and immigrated to Canada in around 2004. So Majdi, when he came to the country, he did not find enough opportunities and didn't find his voice in the Canadian theater. So he said, let me create Empty Space, a platform for people like himself to find opportunities and to be on stage. So he found Empty Space in 2004, and from there he found Impact Festival, which is an international multicultural festival that brings international, national, and local shows to Waterloo Region, specifically Kitchener downtown. And the first Impact was in 2009, actually.
Ooh, way back.
Way back. So, and we're still continuing with Majdi's legacy after he passed away in 2022. And we lost his voice. But his message and his vision continued with us, and we still continue, to carry his legacy and what he was hoping for in this region. So this year, Impact had more than 20 productions. We had productions from Colombia, Mexico, Turtle Island. We had artists from Amsterdam, Palestine, Lebanon. And of course from around all over Canada, and our local artists as well. And part of the festival, we had a 3-day conference called Beyond Allyship, where we spoke with local indigenous organizations and artists, as well as deaf artists, about how to move beyond words and move into actions, and how to make theater more accessible to everyone in the community.
I love it. And because in my mind, I'm wondering, in this time and age where social media, where we all live in our social media bubbles, sometimes people find it hard to want to pay for tickets to go see a play, a spoken word. I just feel we can all get we can get this on social media. So in your own words, why do you think it's still important for us to really hold the power of theater and tell stories through the lens of theater?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm an artist as well, and theater holds a really very special and dear place in my heart, because there's a power to the live, something that you're seeing in front of you, and it's in the now. More than something that is recorded or over a screen or something. You're seeing the live performer in front of you, and you're having that connection with the performance, with all its factors. So it's more of a 4D experience that you get. 4D experience that you get to experience it with all your senses, honestly. Because theater as well is not only now just you sit and watch. It's more of also immersive experience where you go in a room and you experience a show, something like what we had in Impact, a show called The Opposite, where actually audiences go through 2 rooms, and they become refugees, Canadian refugees crossing borders to Palestine, to enter Palestine from the Syrian embassy.
Oh.
So they actually, it's called The Opposite because the Canadians become the refugees.
I like the twists.
And you go through that, raw experience of not speaking the language, of not knowing where to go, not knowing if you're going to get your visa or not. So that is also more impactful than just watching something on TV or behind screen or scrolling or whatever.
Yeah, I know for sure, because social media gives us that quick. People, in fact, I think my most concern is the fact that because we want everything to be done within the speed of light, things are done so quickly, people no longer have the patience or, do I say, grace to really sit down and consume educative and and mind-boggling content that gets them to think and shifts their perspectives, right? However, I like what Empty Space is doing, because now you're delving into sensitive societal issues that ordinarily would not find a voice or a space to be discussed. And you're doing it in a way that even the actors become spectators in that experience. Could you please shed some light about that?
Yeah, for sure. Because theater is, you can do whatever you want. One of our youth students actually was mentioning yesterday that there is no right or wrong in theater, and that's what she loved about theater. And not only that, but you also find theater is reflecting on the community that you are within, and the issues, the social justice issues that are happening around us. And that's what we try to do in Empty Space. When we are creating shows, we bring actors and bring their lived experience with them. So it's more of, we want to hear the stories that the actors have more than imposing a scenario or a text or a script to them. So that's why we have like a more of a devised process that actually Majdi found, and that's his methodology that we follow, where we bring the actors with the director and a script developer into a room, and then they create the show from improvisation and from physicality rather than words. Because also we believe that the body holds stories, and all that baggage that we come in with to the room, it speaks by itself and it comes out by itself in the improvised process.
Indeed, it's impactful to see an actor just reflect an experience of a story holder, or even their own lived experience. Now, my question to you is, as we reflect on some of these ongoing issues we have in our society, racism, the newcomer experience, for instance, homelessness, poverty, and all the things associated with our living as humans. What topics or what issues do you think our youth of today should pay more attention to, and how can theater begin to solve those problems for the next generation?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think there is a lot happening in the world that the youth can pay attention to. But what I can say is that I think if they focus on telling their true stories and their truth, and bring their full selves into whatever they're creating, that by itself will talk a lot and will reflect a lot about what they're going through. Because a lot of the youth that we engage with, they are newcomers, they are immigrants, refugees. So they have already went through a lot of these challenges that we're facing right now in the world, whether it's war, whether it's racism, whether it's the language barrier that we face as newcomers. So it will speak by itself when they bring all of themselves into the process or whatever they're creating. I know for myself, as an artist as well as an actor, when I came to Empty Space, like I didn't have a voice out there. I didn't see myself in roles that are, whether in Toronto, whether in the mainstream Canadian theater. So I had to create my own opportunities as well, and I found that overlapped with what Empty Space is doing. So that's why I was like, okay, I need to tell my truth and my own story as well and reflect that on stage. And there was space created for that through Empty Space.
And I want to say that the name itself, Empty Space, creates space. It's sort of redeeming, but also very profound. Yes. So you do this work with the Newcomer Youth Theatre Project, and you've really helped immigrant youth and refugee youth as well build confidence and community through their work, or through your work in theater. Now, how have you seen that transform or impact them? And then what can we learn from the level of resilience and courage to speak their truth on stage?
Yeah. So one of the theater programs that we do for youth is called Newcomer Youth Theatre Program. Mm-hmm. We do it in partnership with the YMCA. Okay. We've been doing it since 2008, actually. And the continuity of the program speaks to the effectiveness of what it's doing. So what we do, actually, we go into schools around Kitchener, Waterloo, and we do a series of theater workshops led by 2 facilitators in each school. And at the end of the program, the youth actually comes out with a kind of a showing, present what they did in the process. But the most important thing is the process and the talk back that they do after the show, because they talk about what they experienced. And as one of the facilitators of the youth program, I do notice how the students start at the beginning of the workshop and how they end after it. So they come in with something and they end up with something else. And you notice how they speak about even like projecting, mm-hmm. As simple as, standing on stage and being able to project with your voice, speaking up, telling your story of immigration or a racist, something racist that you went through in the country. Even like sometimes they do shows with their own languages. So it puts that, accessibility of like theater does not have to be in English in mm-hmm, Canada. Mm-hmm. You can speak in your own language. You can create stuff in your own way. And that's still something that is worth seeing. And they actually come out of the workshop with saying like, oh, we miss it. We're going to miss it. We want to continue doing this. We want to continue doing theater. because it was a platform for them to tell their stories and their lived experience, and to form that connection with the even other youth. Maybe they are in the same school, but they don't see themselves in that capacity, and so they get closer to each other. They seek some kind of hope in the Canadian industry and in the future. It opens something that they want to do, maybe something in the future. But yeah, the most important thing I would say is empowering them, and empower them to have a voice, to tell their stories, to stand grounded in their truth, and to go from there.
I love it. And now we'll take a break to show you some of the works they've done with the youth program, and then we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
When you choose a place to create a home, you want to create and shape that home in a way that you love, that you feel part of.
Good to have you back. We talk about hate speeches, discrimination, all the social issues we often deal with. And I've heard from Hiyam Mahrat how Empty Space is transforming the youth in the Kitchener-Waterloo region, empowering them with courage and confidence to speak their truth. Not anywhere else, but on stage. Now, let's talk about how hate speeches now trend online. And I'm wondering if theater has some way to change that narrative. I know theater is more direct. It's you interface with actors. There's a physicality of the theater, unlike the online space where you don't see who's behind the screen. You only read words and maybe see videos. But is there some impact that we can get from theater to influence how we communicate online?
Yeah, I think it's definitely transformative. Like it's something that theater, I think, can transform what online also is having. Actually, I don't know how to answer the question. Can you repeat that part?
Yes. So what I mean is, we sit down and watch plays, spoken word, or any kind of creative arts. Any theatrical elements, right? Mm-hmm. And it shapes how we perceive life. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if we can take that experience, to transform how we communicate online. Now, it seems like because people know that I can communicate, behind the screen, no one exactly knows me, so they can say all kinds of things online. Now, we immediately see the impact of theater in how we respond. Like you mentioned to me earlier, when you have the youth sit in that forum, they come in with a different ideology, but it changes at the end of the experience. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm wondering, there's a way we can convey that same impactful experience to the online space, so that people are more aware that I keep speaking behind a screen, but my ideology is now this because of the work that theater is doing.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's very interesting. I think people have to experience theater themselves, mm-hmm. whether as an audience member or as an artist, or you don't have to be an artist to be on stage, yes. Actually. But they have to experience it in some way themselves, to be able to take that and, bridge that gap with the online world, and to have that messaging of the impact of theater and how to, transform the online world. And honestly, I don't believe like the online world, it's very, very instant, and it doesn't do any change. So I think the only way for change to happen is to go there, see it, experience it, perform it in a way, be in the theater, talk to people, connect with artists with lived experiences, form, those connections, and that's how change can be done.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the truth is that even on social media, we often express ideologies from the perspectives that we now hold. So as theater gives us an opportunity to reflect on who we are, who we can become, perhaps that's when we have this transformation taking place, and take with us, that new form into our conversations, whether online or offline. Mm-hmm. And then I recall you spoke about the work you did during the conference, where you spoke about allyship, and moving from just, of course, I know that theater is not performative, no longer. If it was before, perhaps, but it's not performative. It's really a movement that drives it towards action. So I'm wondering if you could share some takeaways from that conversation you had during the conference, where we need to begin to understand that for us to really drive towards a sustainable world, we need to move from just acting to now, from just, what's the word? From just performing to now acting. So could you share with us some of the takeaways from that conversation you had at the conference?
Yeah, of course. Yes, of course. That's a very good point, that also like social media creates that, or media in general. You're stuck in theory, and you're stuck in just words, and you can put whatever you want out there. But let's bring these people and let's see the actions on the ground. And that's what we encourage through our work, and that's what we were hoping with our conference, for example. So the conference at the festival was called Beyond Allyship, because we wanted to move more into actions. We want to, because there's a lot of people, whether in the community or online or whatever, they talk about, oh yes, we are pro-Palestine, or we are with the indigenous rights, or we make ourselves accessible, but actually, like, let us see what you are doing on the ground, and let's talk about how can we change that. So that's why we had indigenous panelists, we had deaf artists actually also speaking about how shows need to be moving beyond just an ASL, having two ASL translators or interpreters doing or translating the show, but what we actually need, and to make theater more accessible for the deaf audience, is to see themselves out there. So to see a deaf actor on stage acting or performing or doing something, instead of just having an ASL translation on the side. So there were lots of learnings, but another factor that was part of the conference as well is having the youth they had like a session for themselves where they shared about their experience going through the festival and the program that they did, and what skills they had. They told stories, but one of the takeaways that it was for me is, seeing them in that leadership position, because when you give the youth the space and the time and the tools for to lead, they do take that, and it goes like places very far, and it's very there's lots of learnings that come out of it. So that was what was their conference actually was about. They took the space to lead, and they told the stories, and they told their learnings, and they actually showed one of their exercises. And I think one of the audience members was a student from a school who is a newcomer, and she was crying at some point and was asking the students something around how do you keep remembering who you are? How do you not forget pieces from you? And that was like, it struck us because that is so real.
Yeah.
Like, you come to this
Identity.
country,
Yeah.
you come to this country and you feel like your identity is being erased, and like parts of you, you're forgetting them, and maybe you leave them in wherever you were, and you code switch, and you do all this stuff to survive in the place. So at that time, they led the conversation beautifully, and they talked about how they stand in their truth, and they're very grounded, and how they keep remembering those parts of themselves, either through staying connected with their cultures, with their families, with their people like them, the other students as well, through theater as well, and yeah.
Identity and belonging are essential parts of our humanity that should never be stripped away from anyone. And I'm glad that you had that experience with the youths, sharing a lot about that. Mm-hmm. Now, we say theater is a mirror, and if it does reflect to us who we are, who we've been, and who we might become, I'm just wondering in few words, because we're wrapping up now, what reflection do you want the youth to see through the eyes or through the lens of empty space?
I want them to see that empty space will always have a place for them. There will always be space for them to come in and create whatever they want to do. There's always a place for mentorship, a place to work together, to exchange learnings, because we learn a lot from them. To stay connected and help us build this community together, because building community is becoming more and more challenging. And I want them to see empty space as a place where they can tell their stories always. They can travel, come back, find us, connect again with us, attend our events. But also to see where, we can improve ourselves, because Empty Space at the end of the day is not the perfect organization, and we do lots of mistakes, of course. So we want to see how can we expand to, be as accessible as much as possible, and build that community together, and stay in that circle. We always find people, and artists in the community leaving to Toronto, for example, because there's more opportunities there. So we always think about, okay, how can we make this community, sustainable and be able to keep people here? And I find Impact Festival is one of the ways to do that. But the most important thing is, how can we create this space together? How can we move beyond saying, oh, you're welcome here? But it's more about, yes, you are welcome, but we also want to hear what you have and what your learnings are, and how can we create this space together?
I love that. And for a student or young professional who is really desiring to use creativity as a form of change, but don't know where to start, do you have any words for them?
Don't know where to start, just I would say volunteering. Approach people.
Do you have opportunities for volunteering?
We do have volunteering. Actually, our volunteers get to see shows for free during the festival, or during our presenting series that we do it on our off Impact years, because Impact happens every second year. So there's always a space to volunteer. We have an open doors policy at our office and our rehearsals and whatever we do. So if someone wants to learn more about us, just walk in the space and talk to us, ask us questions. Whatever you need, we're here for it, and we'll go from there. Yeah.
I loved it. And if there's something that that you echoed very much in this conversation, is the fact that theater does have the power to help you stay grounded in your truths. So maximize it. Stories can heal. And imagine one person stepping onto the stage to share his story. He gives every other person in the room the opportunity to step onto that stage too, to share their own experiences. Now, theater is not just performative. It is provocative. It is here to provoke emotions, empathy, change. And if you do have a story, you're an actor. Tell you what, everybody can act. Because when we get emotional, we do it naturally. You cry naturally. Nobody teaches you how to cry. When you're offended, you get angry. No one teaches you how to express your anger. So everyone can be an actor. And if you take your story, if you witness something in life and you think this is worth changing, don't withhold it. Step on a stage. Empty Space can give you a stage and share your lived experiences, and gradually let's begin to drive transformation across our community. It's been Cutting Room Floor today, and I've had a great conversation with Hiyam Mahrat, the General Manager of Empty Space, and I'm your host, Mamza Wonker, signing out today and hoping that you take your story to the world because it deserves to be heard. Have a great day.